Talks. My name is Adewunmi Oshodi. We just had Signals Marketplace where everybody called to sell their business. You guys made me very happy. So, with that tempo, I would go into the conversation this morning. I have with you, so we're discussing English. We're discussing leathers, shoes, and boots. And before we had shoes, before we had boots, we had leather. Now, I have with me is an architectural designer with a knack for brand and product design, whose journey has been anything but phenomenal and conventional. But conventional, his career began in corporate identity management as a graduate architect, where he participated in the design of the then Access Bank brand identity and rebranding of the United Bank for Africa. This experience ignited a revolution within him and encouraged him to embrace entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial roles, managing large and small scale corporate interior planning, brand design, and facilities improvement projects in the banking and retail sector. You wonder what he's looking for with leather, right? Notable amongst his projects were the Access Tower building, developing and over 50 brand branch buildings across board. Now, his work is just not merely a career, it's a lifelong dedication. He's profoundly committed to crafting designs that stand the test of time, surpassing transient trends and fad. His design ethos transcends spaces, seamless blending the art of what you wear with nature of where you live is his creation, Boots by Metal. He has a decade plus. It has a decade plus of playing with leather and turning leather into shoes and boots, and it has phenomenal pieces. So I'm a bit emotional because it's my brother, and I'll tell you how I call him my brother. We met far back as 2016, and we were seatmates when we were trying to go for branding at Orange Academy. And it would always stress me out, but it was a good stress, right? And when you and that's why sometimes when we're in class and you wonder, oh, what would this person be about, and we're burden of different talents, and I've watched him transcend. Is a banker first, is an architecture first, and I think it was me that went to disturb him, or who went to disturb him. We used to disturb one another. But I have with me warm welcome to Emeka Adigwe, an architectural design, the CEO of Boots by Metal. See, everything is leather. So we're going to be talking leather. We're going to be talking boots. We're going to be talking his love for shoes. We're going to be talking discussing his tenacity and consistency over 10 years in building a brand called Boots by Metal. So welcome with me, joining with us. If you're just tuning in, we're discussing leather, shoes, and boots. So if you look at your shoe and you're like, this is my shoe, it's really made in Nigeria, right? It's crafted by our brother. If you know our brother means our Igbo brothers. One Nigeria, right? Of him using leather to make something phenomenal. So welcome to Signals on 91.3. You're laughing. Emeka, don't stress me. Let's talk.
Oshodi. Oshodi. You're reading my profile. It was long thing. Just say I'm an architect that likes to design shoes.
No, because you're almost like a banker turned leather lover of shoes and boots. Abi? Okay, no problem. Yes. So this is it. The difference is we have a mic and we have a lot of people listening to us. So tell us your story. It's 10 years worthy of note to run a brand business, shoes that we are wearing. Shoes that we are wearing, you've turned it into something beautiful, right? And then you have these models that just model the shoe like this. Boots, hey. Okay, tell us quickly.
Oshodi, thanks. Oh my God, thanks for breaking the ice. Okay, so how will I put this? First of all, I think I would say that I'm a restless person, right? And I think you know me while we were in branding academy together. We were trying to navigate our mindset, what we were thinking, how we were, how we wanted to portray what it is that we wanted to put out to the world, how best to say it so that people think and feel, about you in a certain way, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it was 2016 we met, but my brand actually started in 2015. But backtrack, um, I would say 5 years before that time, I already had an idea that I wanted to build something. That was when I was in university. And I was curious, very curious about so many things, right? And part of the thing I was curious about was shoes. How do these shoes come out? I remember the very interesting shoes I used to wear as a young man, the Dr. Martens, the Timberlands, the Clarks, those things were intriguing for me, and going into school, you didn't have so much money to buy those things, especially new, to be honest. I don't know any of you that remember. It's still there, Yaba Market.
Our Yaba market, please, please.
Yes, so
It's still
it
there.
is, it's still there.
It's still there.
So back then I would mix, getting a Dr. Martens from my uncle in the US with buying a Timberland in Yaba, and wearing them to school and feeling fly. But I kept asking myself, this is something people do. Why can't we do this? So that curiosity started my journey into understanding what leather was all about, and I think one of the strikes, those eras of crazy strikes that you just sit down at home doing nothing. And I asked myself, why not try out this thing that was in your mind? If you could find people that could make leather, you could design, you're an architect, and you have this knack for that. So back to Yaba. I went to Yaba, bought a shoe, and asked the guy, Chibuzo, do you know one or this one? Now my brother now, so I got to speak.
His
Chibuzo,
language.
do you know where I can when you guys buy some of these things, I see you guys repair. Do you know guys that repair this kind of shoes? He said, then they for Way Street. I said, Way Street in Yaba here. Say, go there now. If you go there, meet one, you go see some Brazilian guys. It be like saying na Puerto Rico, explain them. They were actually foreigners. So I went there, took my shoe there that was not so good, and they said, fine, they will make it. They would repair it, and it was going to look good. And guess what? They did it so perfectly well. The blemish I had on the shoe disappeared. I was like, I now asked, can you guys make this? God, we no go fit. Now you go they do this one. The one where we they do they different, And these are Brazilian stunned Nigerians basically, but they had the skill of cobbler. They were cobblers. So from there, we sparked off a conversation. We started talking. I said I wanted to learn how to make shoes. They were like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? This guy that speaks so well and everything. How come he wants to make shoes? I told them I was interested in making shoes. So I came back several times, got friendly with them, worked with their boys that were training, understood what shoemaking was. Then one day I popped a question. Let's make a shoe like this. They were like, no, Shebi. I said, no, let's try. Guess what? I did my first shoe with denim. It was with denim, yes. Denim and leather. Because I
So denim
wasn't sure
is
how.
jean trouser.
Yeah, jean trousers, yes, exactly. It's that same Yaba now I buy the jeans. So
It's okay. Continue. Shout out to our Yaba brothers.
so, and that started a journey that became a name I was given in school, because going back to school, I had several designs of my own that I wore to school, and people were like, Oga, what's going on? And I remember how my name Meta came up. My name is Adigwe, right? If you're
Yes.
Igbo, you understand that Igwe, if you stand it alone, is
It's
either
king.
king or metal.
Oh.
Igwe Igwe is metal. Igwe is king. So one person just all of a sudden told me, this guy. Now, wow, Adi Igwe, Adi metal. And from there, Adi metal stuck. Everybody's there calling me Adi metal from Adi Igwe. And that was how the concept of metal started. It started in school, quite all right. I forgot about it. I went into banking.
Because money has to be made, Abby. And
My
your
dear,
mommy must
you know.
your mommy must count the cost. Now,
And I tell my father that I want to do shoe when I went to do architecture. Nkonkon shame me, abi. I mean,
No, they will
what?
speak our native language. Don't speak your, they will
Yes,
speak that native language to
that's
you.
my native language.
I don't want to imagine it. Now, how much did you sell your first shoe?
Hmm. Oof.
Okay,
Ah,
welcome.
to be honest, my first shoe was 8,000 naira
Far back
as 2014.
good. Okay.
Yes,
So why did
it
the person
was.
buy it?
Sorry?
Why did the person buy it?
Because the guy was intimidated by just so many shoes I was wearing.
Oh, nice.
I was in the banking sector. I never wore a shoe more than 3 months. You will not see it with me again. And every shoe I wore was my shoe.
Mm,
At that point, I hadn't started making shoes commercially, right?
okay.
I was just making my shoes for myself in the bank because I believed I was working in the bank. I needed to look good. I'm an architect. I needed to represent,
Okay.
all that kind of thing, this
You had to
banking
show off.
swag. I had to swag now as a bank and all that. So, and the guy, and the reason why I did it for 8,000, guess why?
Right.
I didn't want to make it look like it was a normal shoe
Mm-mm.
because then I understood the concept of, you know, make it scarce, rare, and people will understand the value, before you now start connecting with it, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was how much I made it for. And the guy was so impressed because it appears I and him were the only one wearing different kind of shoes.
Oh, so uniqueness. The unique.
So there was a unique thing about the shoes. It wasn't something you could go to Mandilas and buy. You
Mm.
wouldn't see it in Mandilas. So
Because it
that
was
was
made from Emeka's house.
because it was made from my head. Yes, it looks like the normal shoes, but it had a different design to it, a different swag to it, and that was it. And it was my colleagues. I remember one of my very, very, very close friends that said, Emeka, why don't you turn this into business?
Mm.
And I remembered that I actually had the idea when I was in school. But of course, when you are in school and when you're out of school, there are two different things.
The reality is different.
Reality is different. So I couldn't imagine that I was going to make money from designing on leather, shoes, and many other things, furniture that I went into, and so many other things I did with leather. I didn't imagine that was going to make money for me, but I guess God had the plan and he showed me the plan and I tried to follow. I'm not saying I followed exactly, but I shall try to follow.
I feel like don't
And
follow. You will come back. Now,
I am
in
this is
what
where I am.
in what ways are architecture and shoemaking similar?
Very interesting. Architecture is understanding the requirements of man in space,
Okay.
the interaction of man and his space. That's basically architecture. Designing shoes is the interaction between your feet, right, and how you clad your feet. So a house is like an enclosure for you
Mm.
as a whole total human being
Mm.
that has a psychological connection that you have a psychological connection with. You call it a home. A shoe is something that clothes your feet that you have a psychological connection to that actually is an embodiment of who you are.
Mm.
So guess what? Your feet can tell about who you are. Research has shown that people with wide feet, not
Aha.
too act feet, are more susceptible to becoming explorers as nature because they like to be on the move. Their feet it's comfortable for them to always be on the move.
Hmm.
So when it comes to their archetype, you liken it to being an explorer. So a lot of research has gone into seeing your foot type, how your foot is structured, and the kind of person that you are.
Hmm.
So I started researching on it, and that was very interesting for me to know that when I see your feet, the structure of your feet, and the kind of things you like, I can fuse your personality.
Okay.
So I mean, there's something that I do, and I say, know your feet's personality.
Know
You
your
know,
feet. You know, some people
yes,
have long leg, long,
yes, yes,
slimmer, and then there's a problem with shoe size. There's UK size,
exactly.
Nigeria size. When can we have Nigerian sizes? Because most times we're always measuring our feet with UK, US, China, and I'm like, because I have a feet that sometimes I'm shortly between 42 and 43 or 44. I don't even know.
Mm,
Should I
mm,
know that? I'm looking for my shoe or sandals. I'm like,
mm,
oh, sandal, let's wear. But then
mm.
I always wonder that when would we have our own Nigerian sizes?
Okay, let me put it this way.
Yes.
You have three major sizes. You
Okay.
have the American size, which is largely large size feet,
Hmm.
right? You have the European, which is largely small, narrow kind of feet.
Okay.
Then you have the European that is somewhere in between, you know, I mean,
UK and US.
yes, the US, and and I'm sorry, you now have the UK, which is somewhere in between the US and the European, right? Not too far. Now, the issue is those societies have grown their industry to a point that shoes and whatever it is that they produce has a standard.
Okay.
The problem with us is that we haven't researched the African feet to
Hmm.
understand the standard that we should follow and to create our standard. It cuts across so many things. I don't want to go into all that.
It's okay.
But because we do not have that standard yet. But guess what? My research and years of doing shoes, I realized that we are very close to the American style
Okay.
because most of our feet is white.
Okay. Okay.
Right,
Because
and act. Most people have wide and act feet. That's why if I look at my size charts, most of my customers start from 43, 44, 45. In fact, the 44, 45 is like almost the standard in Nigeria. If you see a 42 adult, I'm talking of adult male now. If you see an adult male 42, is probably from somewhere around northern Nigeria, right? Yeah, because they have a bit
slim.
of a slim, narrow, not too long feet. But down south, right, we have very
Wide.
broad, and bigger feet. So that's been my experience. So until we do have a standard until we have an industry that we accept that this is an industry, then we can create a standard and say this is an African fit. I wouldn't really call it Nigerian fit. I think I would like to say African fit because my experience is that across Africa we have almost the same similarities when it comes to our feet sizes and all that. Yes.
Okay, a Signals on 91.3. We're discussing leather boots and shoes, leather shoes and boots with Emeka Adigwe. Emeka Adigwe of Adi Metal is now Boots by Metal, the both of them. If you have questions, comment, you can call us 0809. You can WhatsApp 0809 234 5913. If you have questions, comment, you can call us 0704 100 7913. Now, let's look at the leather industry in Nigeria. You have gone to Yaba, and the guys who helped you were Brazilians turned Nigerians,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they
Mm-hmm.
journeyed you further.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say has changed from Do we actually have a leather industry? I know we do because when I'm talking to you, Made in Aba is ringing in my head, like seriously ringing in my head. So please
Absolutely.
help with my curiosity.
We have a leather sector,
Hmm.
not a leather industry yet.
Okay.
Reason why I'm saying it is that the supply chain of leather and the derivatives of leather is enormous,
Hmm.
right? So if you say leather industry, that means we have the capacity to turn leather into as many things as possible, not just shoes, right? But I would say we have a leather sector because we have very beautiful skin leather that supplies the world but doesn't supply us.
Come again.
We have very interesting, good leather that supplies the world but doesn't supply us as Nigerians.
Wow.
That's the irony of it.
Hmm.
Let me tell you why. Is and I always say that this is a kind of syndrome that is still prevalent in Africa, where everything is raw material export based.
Hmm.
We have not started refining. So you get a tannery in Brno, I'm sorry, in Kano that makes leather for a Louis Vuitton kind and standard of industry, and that is exported raw, not 100% refined. They will tan it, but not as refined as what Louis Vuitton will use. It gets to Europe, it's further refined, turned into beautiful leather,
And they send it back to us to buy.
and they sand it back. Now, see how we get, most of us that started, see how we get where we used to get. We will go to Mushin, buy or Otuaba, and buy from leftover of those leather that we sent, mostly from the factories that have used and have finished like a season, because what they do is like they turn the leather into different colors and shades and types. It could be suede, it could be nubuck, it could be normal leather that cow skin leather that and it's used for a season or 2 seasons, and after that, it's no longer a thing in Europe or the Americans. But guess what? It's still a thing here.
Hmm.
So they do not waste it. They know, oh, when we send it back, people are still going to buy, people are still going to wear it because they've seen it on the magazines and they see it on their, and they'll say, oh, this is a shoe I used to see in the magazine. That magazine may even be old.
Who bewitched us Africans?
My dear, it is the same thing that is happening to a lot of things that we do. We just take the raw thing, we don't create value from it. We ship it out. People create value for it, with it, and we go and get, I will say sometimes the crumbs. So for people that will start naturally, that's where they will start from. Until you now start building rapport and building trusts with the tanneries here, because the tanneries here, before they can sell to you, you have to buy in big quantity. Imagine somebody that exports. You won't sell like you just go and buy a small, square feet of footage of leather. They want to
No.
be sure that it's consistent. They want to see, you know, an LPO of some sort that says supply me this quantity of leather over a period of time. Then that's business for them. So until you get to that state, they're probably not going to talk to you.
Wow.
It's
Now
not their fault.
we come. They're in business to make money. Now,
Absolutely.
Boots by Metal is 10 years so far.
Yes. Yes.
Walk us through the different seasons, and
Hmm.
thank you for not shutting down. Oh yes.
Different seasons. Well, there was a season of experimentation
Okay.
where we experimented about so many things. I remember when people said, "Oh, you make good shoes, you make boots."
Hmm.
Meanwhile, people when they hear boots, a lot of people just think about the security boots. But boots are anything that is higher than your ankle, right?
Okay.
Then it's qualified to call the boot. So I want to put that out there. So we do for Nigerians, I'll say we do ankle high shoes.
So ankle
That is
is a level above my ankle.
yes.
Okay, let's be clearing it out so that people know.
Yes.
A level above
Yes.
my
A
ankle.
level above your ankle is qualified to be
That
called
that
a
ankle
boot.
is where there is one strong bone beside your leg.
That's a hair because if you notice, all your most of the shoes are at the ankle level or below the ankle level,
Okay.
right? Once it goes above that ankle, you know, that
Above that
ankle
bone in
level,
your leg up.
it is qualified to be called a boot.
Good. Okay.
So it doesn't have to be high up. It doesn't have to have so many laces. It could come in elastic bands. It could come in a lace. It could come in any format that is creative that you've created. Like I see so many designers creating a lot of stuff. So those are called these are what we call the boots, right? And of course, Boots by Metal was so that we could actually be different. That's why Boots Metal is the name of the brand. But when we now started having our social media pages, as far back as 2015, when we decided to put all those things down, we said, okay, how do we distinguish ourselves? I said, well, just add boots there and let people know that we make boots. That's all.
So what was the toughest season and the happiest season in those 10 years?
I'll start with the happy because I'm
Okay.
a positive person.
Okay, let's go. Let's be happy.
The happy seasons were where we were really going for trade shows because we had a strategy, a 3-year strategy, 3 to 5 year strategy to appear as many trade shows as possible. The happiest of those was those times where we would appear on a trade show and people were like, "Are you guys for real?
Is it
Are you
Nigeria?
guys Nigerian? Do you guys make these boots here? You make these shoes here? How?" And people will walk up to me and say, "I was about to go to the UK next week and I had a plan to buy shoes, but I'm here now. I'm actually not buying shoes." And I actually have a lot of clients. My business has gone through a lot of referrals, such that it's difficult for me to now start doing adverts because the referrals is enough for me.
Oh
If I
God.
if
Oh
I
God.
use if I use that word,
Oh
but of
God.
course, yes, because it's still largely handcrafted. So it's done based on in batches, small batches, like 100, and all that in batches. So it's not mass, if you get what I mean. So it's
Unique
not
selling
like,
point. You're not
yeah,
making too
it's
much noise.
it's not mass.
You bankers
So
are proud. It's not your fault.
well, is it by
Yeah.
a banker or that my brain is wired to think like a designer, and
Okay.
designs are rare things that you don't see every day. So maybe that's what it is.
That's fine.
Then of course I got into banking, and banking shapes. Shout out to Diamond Bank. That's where I started my career, and it shaped the way I thought
Adoze
about
will be
life.
happy wherever he's resting
Oh
now.
my God! You know
God.
what? I am honored to have made a shoe for Dozie.
Okay.
I mean, God bless his soul. I was so happy when he called me from the blues. I'd left the bank. I was in UBA then, and he called me and he said that he heard about me, and he heard that I worked in his bank and he really likes what I'm doing. Why don't I have a factory in Aba? So we were actually talking about going back and integrating what I do in Aba. I actually started a factory in Aba. Ah, I
But
shut it
Nigeria
down.
happened.
Yes, I shut it down. I had to shut it down. At a point, my wife said, "If Abba doesn't kill you,
You will kill Aba.
if Abba doesn't kill you, I don't want to lose you. You need to find a way about it." And to be honest, it was that crazy. We haven't gotten to a point yet where we take things that we do seriously. So you see people seem serious but just not serious, and you know Oshodi, we talk about these things several times.
Okay, so let me start to take messages. If you have calls, if you have questions and comments for Emeka, your wallet so much for
No, it's you
Emeka.
that's putting me on this spot. Me, I don't even know. I asked you to give me a question. You say you're not giving me a question.
Because I
Now you're
cannot even
throwing
give.
truths at
Why
me.
should I give you a question? I don't understand.
Now
Even
you're
me,
giving.
even me, the question I'm
Expo,
asking you
Expo
said,
is good. Expo is good.
giving expo. We were not raised to do expo. 0704 700 8913. Call us 0704 700 9913, or you can send us a WhatsApp message 0809 234 5913. If you have questions coming for Emeka Adigwe, is the CEO of Boots by Metal, Adi Metal. He loves to do boots, and we're talking leather, shoes, and boot. Well, so somebody sending us a message. How do you source for? You see, back to that leather thing that we're talking about. How do you source? Please send us your name and comment, and your name and where you're calling us from. How do you source the leather and materials used in your footwear? It's actually a two-in-one question. How do you source for the leather, and then how long does your shoes last? Those are
Okay. Let me start with the second question. How long does my shoe last?
Yeah.
True story. I think I posted that on my Instagram page. One of the first people that bought my shoes in 2015 retired his shoe in 2014.
20, say that again. 20.
One of the guys that bought my shoes in 2015
Okay.
retired the shoe in 2014.
Okay.
No, in 2024. Sorry.
Aha.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry about
2024. Okay, that's good.
2024. And he made a fuss about it because he was shocked that he's had that shoe with him for that long. Of course, he's been a customer with me. I think he has done over 15 shoes with
Okay.
me. And recently he became one of the guys trying to shape up Abia State's, and what's going on with infrastructure development in Abia State. He's a colleague of mine, an architect like me, and based on that, we've had very interesting conversations with Abia State. But I mean, that's not so. So if one person had bought in 2015 and retired in 2024,
15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
I
20,
don't know.
22, 20,
I don't know.
that's 10 years.
I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, so that's 10 years.
Have
You
we
can
done
retire.
shoes that people, didn't wear for long? Yeah, definitely. It all depends on you and all that. But our shoes do last for a long time.
So
And
the person is also
then the
asking
second
for leather.
question.
Yeah, the first one is leather. Where do you source for leather?
Okay, so like I said, when you start, right, and even up till today, you still go to the middlemen
Okay.
in Aba
Mm,
and in Lagos. That's
yeah.
mostly and source your leather. And over time, what I've also realized is that because of the economy and several other things, you know, people are no longer being able to source as much as they want to source. Right. So yes, you source within when you start, but as you grow in the industry, you have international partners because if you really do want to do very good shoes, you need to make sure you get the well refined leather, and that's you can always get in Portugal, Europe, and all that. So yes, I source from two sources, within and outside, but the other accessories I try to get them myself. I import them from the different factories that do them because Nigeria brings in anything and everything that looks original. And when you try them out, you find out. I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
Just very quick one. I have a supplier that supplies me leather, black leather. That's all he supplies me. And I bought our number leather from him. And guess what? It was not good leather. It was looking good. We finished it. We delivered it to the client that came highly recommended.
Oh, good.
I'm not telling you this happened to me this year.
Wow.
And he chatted me back and said, Emeka, what's the meaning of this?
Yeah.
Personally, he didn't go to my business. He just went to me. I said, what? I looked at it. I said, is this the shoe we sent to you? I couldn't recognize it.
Ah.
I couldn't. I told him, I am sorry. something went wrong. I mean, I called the meeting. I mean, everything was. I mean, the whole place came down. You know, that kind of stuff, because
Yeah.
he's a highly recommended person. I mean, why would you know? So he said, "Oh yeah, he understands that this kind of things happen." I told the supplier, I said, "Okay, what's the meaning of this? Why would you sell me, something like?"
Leather.
Because I believe that we've been doing this for years. And he said, "Oh my God, he's sorry that he doesn't understand what is wrong with this batch. That he's bringing in another batch next week. He will send me another batch." Oshodi, he sent me another batch. I put this thing through a stress test. It was okay. He
But
used it. We sent the shoe back. First of all, I just told him, "Sir, just hold on to that shoe. I'm sending you another shoe. When I'll take back the one." He said, "No
yeah.
problem." I sent it to him. And after 2 weeks, about a month, he said, "I'm beginning to see creases on the shoe.
Wow.
What's going on?" I was livid.
So
But
it
you see,
means
that's
that
the challenge
with
of what you
different,
do with this kind of thing. You have a supplier that you consistent with, then over time, maybe because of the economy, or I
there's a
don't know
drop
what's
in,
happening. There's a drop in quality, but the look and feel is the same.
but the quality has dropped.
Oh, but the quality has dropped. Yes. And that happened to me this year. So I mean, I learned a big deal. So back to the question, you need to be careful when you're sourcing internally,
Okay.
right? But maintain very good relationship with external sources so that you get good leather.
So that's something we haven't touched on.
Mhm.
And in terms of the manpower that you're working with, that you have worked with, what has stood out in every of the handymen that you have worked with along the way for Boots by Metal? The ones that gave you headache, the ones that did not give you headache, the ones that wanted to send you back.
Okay, so if I think back, I would say first of all, most of the people that came to me did not believe they could do boots.
Okay.
They were comfortable doing slip-ons,
The
flip-flops,
regular slippers.
and loafers and the rest of that. But when they come in, they get a reorientation, right? First of all, I infuse system thinking and brand thinking to them,
No, it's
right?
design thinking inside.
Thank you very much. I infuse that into them, right? And that kind of changes their perception. So I have had success and I had failures. The ones that are failures are the ones that were just ready to come and steal your pattern and go and start reproducing it.
Mm,
But so the one of my cobblers that has been with me for 15 years, right? And it was the one that actually, spurred me to do this, you know,
mm.
he cleverly has a way of masking those patterns. So even if you steal it, it's difficult for you to reproduce it exactly.
Oh, that's
And he
good.
was taught by his boss. So yes, they come. So I've had issues of people come, they just want to steal your pattern. That's all they want to do, and go and recreate your shoes.
Yeah.
Some are ready to learn. So I've had losses, I've had wins with them. But I think the one that really gladdens my heart is my one of the boys that worked with me, and I wasn't ready to do anything in leather fair to
Mm.
this year. But he called me and said, "Boss, why are we not going for leather fair?" I said, "Well, we're so busy." He said, "No, boss.
You're not
Can
busy.
I handle that project for you?" I
Mm.
was like, "Why are you so interested in that?" He said, "Look, that
Because the
you don't
vision must not
understand.
die.
You don't understand what
Yeah,
you've
so you
got
know how it
to."
feels now. Oh, really? I'm coming. I'm coming. We'll soon wrap up. Somebody's looking for trouble.
So yeah, for me that was good when he I mean, I saw somebody that had gone through my training, I'll call it. I was ready to like put itself out there and get stuff done. So yeah, that's for me. It's been a back and forth thing, but you know the way it is.
We'll come back to this. Thank you
Mm.
very much. My time is up. There's a young lady inside that wants to stress me out, and before she gives me another stress test, her name is Oisa. I don't mind that.
Young lady.
She's stressing me out. Anyway, till we come your way, Emeka, thank you so much. And to everyone who's listening and sent a text message and sent
Thank
WhatsApp
you.
message and called us. Thank you. Till we come your way again next week, Saturday, like we always see on Signals, dream again, create opportunities for people. because people
Thank
will
you.
be people, keep creating opportunities. Thank you for spending 10 years in running the brand called Boots by Meta.
Metal.
Yes, at least our money did not burn. Daddy will be proud wherever he is.
Yeah, Daddy has come to our exhibitions and he's been like,
Before,
wow,
it's not
wow.
easy now. You know how Nigerian parents will be, they'll be very, very proud. So well done,
Yes,
well done, well done, well done. Have a
yes.
wonderful week and God bless.